I want to demonstrate a little bit more of a DIY setup where the pianists recorded themselves with their Zoom recorder. I'm just going to see what I can do to touch it up here. So this time I am going to be a bit more extreme just because it does need a little bit more help. But let's take a listen to see what we're working with. So first things first, I'm going to start and get a good volume. So it looks like around here is the loudest points. Okay, so that can come up around 6 decibels. Again, you want to double check a couple of different spots, make sure that it's good. Yeah, that's fine. 1 decibel. I think that's probably doable. Let's take a listen to see what it's removing on 1 decibel. So the overall volume of that note is being turned down just a tiny amount, and the attack is kind of diminished. I think 5 is a safe amount, so I think that's fine. We can leave it there. It just kind of helps make it a little bit easier to hear, and generally we tend to perceive something being a little bit louder as being a little bit more clear and just better. So getting that extra decibel is just going to help it to overall sound better. So let's start here, because I feel like this kind of, you can hear a lot of what's kind of going on. So the first thing I'm hearing is that the sound is kind of narrow in terms of like the left and right spread. This will become really obvious if I pull up this tool called Stereo Tool, and it kind of gives you a visual representation in the goniometer, I believe is the term for it, showing you what's going on. So you can see that it's pretty thin, and it looks like it's also skewed a little bit to the right side. So first things first that I'm going to do is I'm going to widen that up. And actually, I prefer to use another tool for this called VUMT, or VUMT. It's probably an abbreviation for something, but it has this little mid-side mode. And what this allows me to do kind of in conjunction is boost versus cut the mids and the sides. So I'm going to start by just turning down the mids 1 decibel. That's a pretty good amount for just overall stereo. So without, with, and then with. I think we can go a little bit more, so let's go down 2. Maybe come up the side 1. We're hearing a lot more of the reverb now in the hall. We can hear that it's actually in a hall, and it's kind of like that kind of stuffing sound, like a little bit of this sort of sound is getting cleared away. But 3 decibels of volume boost like this is fairly heavy-handed. It is registering as being right hand heavy, but let's see if that's just the way this part is, because it's got a lot of high notes in there. So let's see what it sounds like in other parts. So it's definitely is pretty, because even when it's on the lower notes. So that's what Stereo Tool is saying is centered, but I don't like the way that sounds. I'm hearing now that the low tremolo is now down the middle, and suddenly those high notes are on my left side. Just smack the mic there. So that's too much. So right there at minus 1.3, I feel like does a good job, where it's like we're actually hearing kind of left and right separately, that there's one hand is playing for one ear and the other hand is playing for the other ear. But let's double check this in other sections. So let's check here. Yeah, that's definitely better. Yeah, I really, I think that's working well. So now that we're working with that, it's already come a long way. So just kind of doing a volume comparison of this little spot. Just it's already sounding much better. Now we can start addressing a little bit more of like the kind of overall frequency balance. I feel like there's something pretty high up there that's a little bit harsh. So I feel like right around here, there's just like a little bit too much going on. That's kind of exaggerating what I feel like is I'm hearing. That's making it a little bit dull, but it's definitely helping kind of getting rid of some of that harshness. To kind of compensating, because it is getting a little bit dull, I'm going to do kind of like a broader little boost underneath it to kind of compensate and see how, let's see how these work in tandem. So without this. Yeah, and I feel like that's calming down the kind of harshness of the hammers, but still keeping some of the brilliance. And then lastly, I'm hearing a little bit of that thickness, so I'm going to come through here and grab Soothe. Seems to work for pianos, so I'm going to start there. I'm hearing it kind of like at the beginning of this, the kind of like build up of like mid. That seems pretty good for that spot. We can check a couple of other areas. Yeah, you can actually see it's working pretty hard at one point. So let's compare before and after. Probably back it off just a little bit more, maybe back down to 1. Yeah, I'm liking what that's doing. It's bringing a little bit more clarity to what's going on. And let's just kind of compare. Definitely much better. I feel like maybe I might be going a little bit hard with the VUMT, kind of bringing out the ambience and cutting down like the boxiness from the sound that you often get with these little XY, the little handheld recorders. Especially now bringing out the Soothe, I feel like it's kind of, this is coming a little bit too hard. So I'm just going to back this off to like minus 1.5 and only 0.5 of a boost. I'm liking that. I don't feel like I'm overdoing it now, and I feel like the end result is much, much more natural. And then we can even kind of go through and hear what each individual thing is doing. So turn them all off. There, if you listen, you can hear the sound kind of shift from a little bit right heavy to a little bit more centered. And then VUMT to kind of bringing out the overall ambience, turning down what's in the middle, and then bringing out the sides, the more of the reverb. And then bringing in Soothe to kind of tame some of the mid-range. So now we have that cut in the EQ here. So let's hear what that sounds like. And yeah, I really find it much more comfortable to listen to with that VUMT adjustment. Maybe it might be different depending on your speaker system, but I find, at least listening in the headphones, it's much more comfortable. I really wouldn't want to go much more than what we're doing here, just because like it's on the verge of I feel like we're gaining clarity, but it's on the verge of getting thin. I think that's honestly kind of right about where it needs to be. A bit any more than it's going to start kind of feeling a little thin and harsh. I'm liking the way that's sounding. So yeah, that's the overall change. So you can really hear, without. And with. Hopefully that's helpful. Hopefully that clarifies a lot of the stuff that's going on inside of DAW if you're trying to work with your own stuff and kind of wondering what you should and shouldn't do, and what does someone who's done this a lot actually do when they're working on mastering or editing. This is a lot of what it is, and it's many, many small moves. It's, just getting kind of like the smallest amount that you really need to get the job done, trying to keep what's already there, enhance what's there, and not really mess with anything that's going on. Both of these I was kind of going a little bit more for like an audition tape, since I didn't really mess with adding any reverb or anything like that, but it should give you kind of a direction of what to listen for and think about when potentially approaching classical music, when trying to master or mix your own stuff. Let me know down in the comments if you have any questions or anything like that. I'm more than happy to help. I'll try to pop in frequently and give any answers.